Charl Johnson.
Charl Johnson, het u beswaar om die voorgeskrewe eed te neem?
Kyk nie.
No objection to take the prescribed oath. Reg die regter aan en sê so help my God as die hele waarheid sal praat asseblief.
So help my God.
Swanee.
Good, please.
Thank you.
Mr. Johnson, do you know the first witness in this matter, Michelle Berger?
Michelle Berger, ken jy die eerste getuie? Dis Michelle Berger in hierdie verhoor.
Ken haar, is my vrou.
I do know her. She's my wife.
That's
Now, on the evening of 13 February 2013, were you at home?
yes, we were at home.
You say we were at home. Who was with you?
It was my wife and I. It was a normal evening at home. If I can elaborate, I think we went to bed around 9, 10 o'clock that evening. So there was no, it was just a normal evening for us.
And then during the night and during the early hours of the next morning, an incident took place.
Yes,
Please tell the court what happened.
my lady, I woke up during the early mornings of the early morning hours on the 14th of February. I got woken up by the screams of a lady, a woman, and I remember after I woke up,
Yes.
after the first screams I woke up, I lifted my head from the pillow to ensure that I heard correctly, and when I heard the lady scream again, I jumped out of bed and I ran to the balcony, which is on the first floor. The balcony is on the first floor. It's approximately 10 meters from my bedside.
You said you got up, you ran to the balcony. What happened then?
When I got out onto the balcony, I stood there and I listened, and I again heard a person screaming. I could hear she was in trouble, clearly distress call. I can't say exactly how long I stood there. It felt like a couple of minutes. And at one point I heard a lady person scream, help, and moments after that a male voice shouted 2 or 3 times, I'm not exactly certain, but it's more than once. A male person shouted, help, help, help.
What happened then?
It's at that point that my wife, who woke up when I got out of bed, called me back to the bedroom and said we should phone the security.
Yeah.
When I got back to the room, my wife handed me her phone. She had already dialed a number on the phone stored under the contact description security, and I understood that it was the security of the Silver Stream Estates security guard. So the intention was that I would speak to our estate's security personnel. I know that they are on radio contact with the security room of the Silver Woods estate, so that I could inform them of what I've heard. People are being attacked in their house. At that point, we were under the impression that people are being attacked, like a house robbery or an armed robbery. So I wanted to bring it under the attention of the Silverwood security estate's security. So when the person answered the telephone, I explained to them that there's people being attacked in the house in the Silver Woods estate, and they should contact their security room. The first person that I spoke to was confused by what I told them, and they handed the phone to a second person, to whom I repeated the message. And when I said there are people being attacked in the Silver Woods estate, the person informed me that it's not the Silver Woods estate guard room, it's the Strubenkop estate's security.
And why would you have called Strubenkop?
I realized immediately my wife had stored it's a place where we lived previously, and she had never changed the contact number for the contact on her phone stored under security. So I immediately realized that we had called the wrong number, and I informed the person it's a wrong number, and I ended the phone call.
And what happened after you ended the phone call?
At that point, I didn't pay any attention to any of the sounds coming from the house, or the direction where the earlier calls came from, so I can't give you any information on that. But I ran back to the balcony. When I got onto the balcony, the woman continued screaming. She started screaming again.
Okay, just a moment. Yes.
At that point, the intensity and the fear in her voice escalated, and it was clear that this person's life was in danger. That's when the first shots were fired, and I remember during the session of shot, I heard the lady scream again, and the last scream faded moments after the last gunshot was fired.
Before you carry on, you said that you heard the first gunshots. How many did you hear?
My lady, I knew there were a few shots. I didn't count them. In my version afterwards, when I told the first people, I said 5 or 6 shots. I didn't count the shots, but I knew there were quite a few. I've subsequently learned that it was 4, and it was confirmed in the report.
Now, if you say you heard shots, could you explain what the time frame between the shots were, or what it sounded like to you?
Excuse me, can you please?
The shots, was there a time difference between the first and the second and third shots? What did you hear?
Yeah, there was a small pause after the first shot, and the remaining shots were fired in close succession.
So you then heard the shots. What happened there?
At that point, I returned to the bedroom, obviously quite alarmed and shocked at what we had heard. When I got back to the bedroom, I recall my wife saying to me that she thinks that lady's husband was just shot in front of her. And the reason why we thought that was because we heard the lady screaming before, during the shot. And the picture we had in our mind was that people were being held up in their house.
Yes.
After that, I can't recall any other noises or sounds that I heard from the area. My wife and I sat on the bed. We were obviously quite traumatized by what we had heard, and I don't think we spoke much after that. It was still quite early, shortly after 3, and we attempted to sleep further. I recall hearing the security vehicle, or a vehicle approaching the direction of where the shots came from, and that's why we assumed that someone else would have also witnessed the event and would have notified the security of Silverwood. So as I said, we tried to sleep. I lay in bed, obviously concerned for our own security. We were under the impression that someone had been attacked in their house in a very secure complex. And my thinking was that if it could happen to them, the same could happen to us.